Is up? Happy Game 7 day here in Toronto, everyone. I am a few minutes away from going over to the stadium and getting locked in for Game 7. I am pumped up for tonight. It is all knotted up 3-3 with one game to go left in Toronto. Thank you all for hopping in here. Before I head over, we'll talk through some baseball. We'll get ready for Game 7. Hopefully... Says I have a few dropped frames, so let me know if you can see and hear me okay. But hopefully it's okay. We have Shohei Ohtani starting on the mound for the Los Angeles Dodgers against Max Scherzer for the Toronto Blue Jays. Pitching-wise tonight, I think we have advantage Los Angeles Dodgers in this matchup. Now, does that mean they win the game? Absolutely not. Who knows what happens? Game 7 is kind of all odds are off. Everything's on the table. We could see Shohei throw one inning. We could see him throw 5 innings. We could see Max do the same thing. We don't know what's going to happen. It's all hands on deck for everybody involved. I can let you know. Audio is seemingly good, hopefully. I'm going to put up this scene as well so we can talk through some things. Oh, wait, that is a black screen. Let's see. Okay, is this up now? No. Okay. This is the play I want to talk to from last night as well. So... last night, obviously, big part of this game, big part of the reason we're at a Game 7 is because of this play that happened in Game 6 in the 9th inning with the ball off the wall. Here it is right here. Let's talk through it. Line drive into the gap, and all of a sudden, ball gets wedged right there. This is a huge part of the game. Everything could change. Everything could change here in this series if it weren't for this and what happened here. All of a sudden, what was first and second, nobody out, could be tying run on third base with nobody out, tying run on second, nobody on third. Miles Straw for sure scores there from first. But what I want to talk through this play for is because what are the odds of this happening? Dalton Varsho has played center field a million times at this field, and he said he hasn't seen that. The odds of this ball getting lodged in the wall right here are minuscule. If the ball lands a centimeter lower or a centimeter higher, everything changes in this game. Miles Straw scores, Addison Barger's either on second or third, but what happens is the next guy that comes up is probably bunting him over to third base, and everything changes. Everything changes. It's almost irrelevant to even talk about it. But the reason I want to talk about this play is because of what Dean did here in the outfield by throwing his hands up. Do you realize how difficult it is in this moment with the chaos ensuing and the tying run speeding around the bases in Game 6 of the World Series in an elimination game? Do you realize how difficult it is for him in that moment to throw his hands up and not play the ball? Man, I played outfield professionally for 5 years. You are taught to do this. But the guts it takes for him, Justin Dean, most appearances in a playoffs without a single at bat. He is in for his defense. The guts it takes to throw up your hands and not play that baseball, man, he deserves so much credit for this. Really, really good on him, to be honest. So obviously that changes everything, but the correct call was made. It is the right call. It was the right call by the umpires. It was the right call by the outfielder. I saw a lot of people saying, well, it was right there. He could have gone to get it. Of course. Of course. And most likely, he could go grab it and pick it out, and it'd be easy, right? But you're taught to do this because let's say it is lodged a little tighter than you think, or it is lodged and you go to grab it, and all of a sudden it's a little tighter and it takes you an extra second. Well, that's the reason this rule is in place. It's a ground rule double. Throw your hands up. Don't risk going to grab it and something happening. The right call was made on all sides here. It's just, to me, baseball is a game of inches. This epitomizes that. Everything changed here. The series could have changed here. We might not have a Game 7 tonight if this didn't happen. But absolute chaos in the bottom of the ninth in the World Series game. Let's check in on the chat before we preview Game 7. Anthony, excuses? Yes, excuses. Blue Jays deserve to win. This Blue Jays team is a lot of fun to watch, I'll tell you that. This was bizarre. 4 a.m. here, and suddenly they didn't score and didn't win. Yep. I got them routing. Blue Jays are stretched thin and very drained emotionally. This last game is gonna be streamed live through YouTube. I don't know. Ask some of the people in here and some of the MLB people in here how I know if that's possible. Let's talk Game 7. We got Game 7 on tap here. If you have any questions throughout, feel free to ask them in the chat. Obviously, a big part of this is talking through things that have happened, previewing this final game, but maybe my favorite part is talking to you guys and answering some of the questions. So please feel free to ask any questions you may have, and we will talk through them throughout. And let me know who you think is going to win tonight. Starting on the mound in Game 7 of the World Series is Shohei Ohtani. This guy's like a fictional character at this point. Think through this. Everything that happens with this guy is just like unprecedented. And it's like, what if this were to happen? What if now Shohei's pitching? He just pitched a couple days ago. What if it gets to a Game 7 and we see him pitch? That's going to happen. Flashback to a couple years ago. Shohei Ohtani's in the World Baseball Classic. Mike Trout is in the World Baseball Classic. It's starting, and everyone's saying, what if Shohei Ohtani got to face Mike Trout in the World Baseball Classic? And then you see the two are going to match up in the championship. What if these two face off in the championship? What if it's the last at bat of the game in a one-run ball game? Shohei Ohtani against Mike Trout. What if that happens? And it did. And now we're here, and this unicorn is about to start in Game 7 of the World Series, which has just been one of the best World Series. My favorite World Series to cover has been this one. And now with all of the storylines and the writing on the wall and the Los Angeles Dodgers full of MVPs and superstars against this Blue Jays team that, of course, has a superstar and has a couple stars. But this Blue Jays team is full of a bunch of guys just trying to grow sick mustaches, sleeping on each other's couches, and buying your game-used baseball glove off of eBay. Like, these two teams are not the same. Yet we're here heading to a Game 7 of the World Series, and I'm absolutely loving every single second of it. This series has been awesome, and it all leads up to tonight, Game 7 of the World Series at 8 p.m. Eastern Time is when it all begins. Win or go home. You're going to see all hands on deck for everybody. Everybody's going to pitch besides maybe Yamamoto. Even though Yamamoto has come out and said he's available. Maybe Yamamoto and Glasnow are a no. But you better bet that Trey Savage is going to end up in this game. I bet Blake Snell ends up in this game. Shohei Ohtani is starting this game. So from what I see from the starting side of things, I don't see how that's not an advantage for the Los Angeles Dodgers. You're going to be able to go Shohei Ohtani. Tyler Glasnow threw 3 pitches last night. Tyler Glasnow is going to be available. You'll be able to go Ohtani, Glasnow, Snell, Roki Sasaki. Where on the Blue Jays side of things, you're going to go Max Scherzer for who knows how long. And then maybe Trey Savage. I think Chris Bassett's going to play a big part of this. And Hoffman in the back end. But pitching-wise, this certainly lines up well for the Los Angeles Dodgers here in a Game 7. But, we can sit here for an hour and debate Game 7 and what's going to happen and why it's going to happen. And you know what I have to say to that? Scrap all of it. Scrap everything we know from this series. Game 7 is a different beast. It's going to take getting out of bed this morning and knowing it all comes down to today. Your entire series comes down to today. If you were to ask both teams on February 1st, as you're about to head into spring training, would you take this? You're going into the season. You're going to end up in the World Series, and it's all going to come down to a win or take all Game 7 of the World Series, and everyone must sign up for it in the moment. And that's what we get tonight. Both of these teams would sign up for this, and you get it now. And it's just going to take guts. It's going to take heart. It's just different than I can't possibly explain to you how different a game 7 is than everything else. There's nerves that you haven't had yet. There's feelings and emotions that you haven't had. So yeah, I can sit here and say the Dodgers pitching does line up better, I think, than the Blue Jays. The Dodgers pitching is better than the Blue Jays. That's why it's all hands on deck. The Dodgers are all hands on deck with better hands than the Toronto Blue Jays. But you know what? I look back on that 18-inning marathon in Game 3 when the Blue Jays end up losing that one, Dodgers pull it out. And for the series to shift to LA and to start like that, admittedly, my thoughts were, oh, that's how this is going to start. This very well might not end up back in Toronto. This could be it. And then the Blue Jays team that just got punched in the mouth in an 18-inning ball game comes out and dominates every single facet of the game and dominated the Los Angeles Dodgers. So I look back at that and think, you know what? Game 6, I thought the Blue Jays needed to win that one, and they didn't. And now the momentum shifts back to LA for a Game 7. The crowd's going to be obviously insane here tonight, but Dodgers winning that one feels like they really leveled the playing field. But I look back on that 18-inning game and say, you know what? Every narrative you can think of, every narrative you could possibly think of that matters, throw it out the window. This Blue Jays team isn't like any other. This Dodgers team that we all heard the narrative every single time a World Series matchup has been comprised of one team that swept in the CS round and one team that went to a Game 7 in the CS round. The team that went to a Game 7 won the World Series every single time. Scrap that narrative with the Dodgers. No team has been like this Dodgers team. And scrap any narrative you know with the Toronto Blue Jays because this team isn't like any other. So I think what it's going to come down to tonight is obviously, I think somebody needs, whoever gets the lead early, I think is going to win the ball game. You see how much pressure gets put on a team when you start falling behind. The pressure changes everything. And I think whoever can get out to an early lead tonight puts the pressure on the other team, and I think it's going to be too much for everyone to handle. Let's check in on the chat real quick here. Let's see. Absolutely a classic World Series. He's streaming from a hotel room in Toronto, so rolling with hotel Wi-Fi. No matter how it ends, baseball fans win. Yeah, you know, but I will say this. Being up here in Toronto has really been special for me. And being in here in the moment and walking the streets today and hearing people just say what this means to Canadians, more specifically people from Toronto, they've waited a long, long time for this. Many people that you see on the streets weren't alive the last time they won in Toronto. So it's a really interesting matchup of a team today. Somebody will either go back-to-back for the first time in a quarter of a century, or they will win their first World Series title in well over a quarter of a century. The storylines are writing themselves here. But what this means, I've been able to feel it the entire time I've been in Toronto. If you follow me and you follow my social media, it's pretty tough to miss how much I've been enjoying Canada and Toronto. I've loved it. And I've loved being here, and I've loved the people and the vibe here, and you can really feel that. You could feel it in the stadium. That first pitch strike last night that Gausman threw, it was so loud. The crowd is going to play a huge factor here, but the Dodgers are used to it, and the Dodgers are used to taking crowds out of it. But this is why I think whoever strikes first, I think wins this ball game, and be on the lookout for that. It's going to be massive. And I'm just pumped up that this guy, Shohei Ohtani, is starting Game 7 of the World Series. Tough to believe, actually. Is Teo guessing? Teo's struggling right now. Teo's struggling. Mookie obviously comes through with a big hit the other night, but he's struggling a little bit. Let's bring this back up. We don't want to play that. I was just seeing if any interesting facts in. Dave Roberts talking here. He was asked about this Game 7. He said, we're all in. This is game 7. There's a lot of things that people haven't done, and you've just got to trust your players and try to win a baseball game. A lot of these guys haven't ever played in a game 7 of the World Series. Nobody on this Blue Jays team. There's a good chance, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a chance that nobody on either of these teams has played in a game 7 of the World Series. The last game 7 of a World Series that we got was in 2019. Astros Nationals, when every single game of that series was won by the opposing team, by the visiting team. So Astros Nationals, maybe George Springer? Maybe George Springer has played in a game 7 before? Yeah, I guess he has. He 100% has. Okay. George, because even the 2017 World Series came down to game 7 in Dodger Stadium. So George Springer might be the only player here that can pitch in a game, has played in a game 7. Expect to see Shane Bieber tonight, who threw fantastic in LA. It is all hands on deck for every single player involved. The Toronto Blue Jays bullpen has stepped up more than I think I expected them to. We're going to see Max Scherzer. Yes, Max Scherzer as well has pitched in a game 7, or has at least played in one. So there's a couple guys, not a lot of them, and look, there's only been a handful of game 7 of a World Series in my lifetime. They're awesome. They're a lot of fun. You don't get them often. We haven't gotten one in 6 years, and here we are tonight in Toronto. For the first time, we're going to have a Major League Baseball season start and end outside of the United States, starting in Japan, ending in Canada. We haven't had a World Series end in Canada since 1993 when Joe Carter walked it off. And the narrative is all on the wall. Everything's on the wall. Everything's in front of us. It all comes down to this, the final day of the season. I feel like it was just yesterday. And I was starting to talk through spring training things and this season, and now all of a sudden we're here. And no matter what, the season ends today. And it's just such a cool dynamic with Scherzer started game 7 in 2019. Yeah, I've tried to flush that one out of my memory, to be honest. That was a tough World Series. All the narratives here, the juggernaut superstar becoming a villain in front of our eyes, Dodgers, against this team in the Blue Jays that's honestly really hard to not love these guys. So I want to see everyone's predictions in the chat. Let me hear who you think wins tonight, and let me hear a score prediction. Who wins and a scoring prediction. I don't think any lineups have yet been released, but I have to imagine the Dodgers lineup that kind of woke up a little bit yesterday is going to look pretty similar. Obviously, Shohei's going to lead off. I think Mookie might stay in the 4-hole. Teo's really struggling right now. Teoscar Hernandez is really going through it. So I'm interested to see what they do with him. We saw early in the series, Andy Pages has been struggling big time, and he kind of got his last-ditch effort and hasn't played recently. Teoscar Hernandez really going through it, but he's a guy for you. Teoscar Hernandez has to play. Let's see. 6-4 Jays. Go Astros says, very fittingly, go Astros. I do not see Max pitching more than 3 innings. Trey can probably do 3 innings. If Verlander pitches, Blue Jays will lose today. Wow. Dodgers have seen him too much. Everyone has seen him a lot. Because if Verlander pitches today, which, Ryan, dude, I would virtually guarantee, if I had a bottom dollar, I would bet it on Verlander ending up in the game today. He is currently tied the all-time record for most appearances in a single postseason, and I would almost guarantee that he tonight in a Game 7 of the World Series will break the all-time record for appearances in a single postseason. Thank you for the message, MLB. Yes, chat might buffer a little bit because you know what? We are on hotel Wi-Fi in Toronto, Canada, just trying to talk some ball ahead of Game 7. That's what we're trying to do here. Let's go back to Game 6 for a little bit, the way it was managed, the way things shook out. I thought it was a well-pitched game on each side. I thought Yamamoto was fantastic. Yamamoto has been absolutely nailed. Yamamoto, if Yamamoto gets in the game tonight and throws a clean inning, he's the World Series MVP. I believe that. I think Yoshinobu Yamamoto might just be the World Series MVP. He's been fantastic. What he did last night, able to get out of some jams and throw, I think 96 pitches came out. I think we might see him again tonight, but he was awesome. The ninth inning with Alejandro Kirk getting hit, Miles Straw pinch hitting, and then that ball that wedged into the wall. The play to end it. Look, let me hear a lot of people say Jays. 4-0 Dodgers, 6-4 Jays, 3-2 Jays walk-off. Wow, that'd be crazy. Blue Jays, 6-7. I don't get this whole 6-7 thing. 4-2 Jays, you heard it here. Is it likely that Glasnow follows Ohtani? If I had to guess, I would say Glasnow. I would say it goes Ohtani to Glasnow to maybe Snell for an inning, to maybe Yamamoto for an inning, to Sasaki is my guess. Springer will hit a 2-run homer in his third at bat to give the Blue Jays the lead. I will be, if that happens, I'm gonna remember reading through that because it's very specific. Brilliant, Mr. Roberts. Yeah. So bottom of the ninth, second and third, 1 out at this point after Ernie Clement hit that ball to the right side that the wind knocked down, so it didn't go very far, and the first baseman ended up catching it, and he blew up his hands. So 1 out, second and third, and you have Andres Jimenez come up. Hits the ball hard to left field. And look, I love Addison Barger. I think he has become a guy in these playoffs. But I don't know what he was doing. I don't know what he was doing. Where are you going? Where are you going there in that situation? The ball's not in the gap. You're not scoring. And it's so easy to sit here and say, like I am, where were you going? Look, the World Series is on the line. You're the tying run in a clinch scenario in the World Series. But man, you just can't. You can't, as the tying run, be that far off on a ball hit to left field where you got to freeze and get thrown out at second base. It just can't happen. Why no pinch runner for Jimenez, number 9 hitter, bad move. Well, Jimenez was the batter. Jimenez, you're not gonna. When would you have pinch run for Jimenez? They pinch ran for Alejandro Kirk with Miles Straw, and he would have ended up scoring if it not for that ground rule double. But man, I just thought it was an incredible baseball game. In terms of baseball games, that might be my favorite one of the series. The 18-inning marathon for the first 9 innings was awesome, but really nobody was doing anything in the extra innings. It was just a long baseball game. Jays champions, I believe. So it's almost 4 o'clock Eastern. We are just about 4 hours away from the first pitch of Game 7 of the World Series. The first Game 7 of the World Series since 2019. We will see Shohei on the mound. I guarantee you, Max Scherzer, and I mean this in the most polite and like positive way I possibly could say it. Max Scherzer is going to be an absolute psychopath tonight. Game 7 of the World Series, it was the ALCS, and Max Scherzer was down in the bullpen warming up pre-games with finger guns to the catcher, and then came out on the mound and was screaming at his manager. Can you imagine how nuts Max Scherzer is going to be here tonight? Now, look, I would have said this in the ALCS. I don't know how long Max Scherzer's leash is going to be, but that's the beauty of this. We can sit here, and there was a message earlier that said Max isn't going to throw more than 3 innings. There's certainly a path. But that's the beauty of a Game 7. Who knows? Max Scherzer could go out and dominate and just keep going and keep going. And Shohei Ohtani, we all think, yeah, this guy's probably only going to throw 2 innings. Shohei Ohtani could go out there and throw 7 scoreless tonight. We don't know. What's he saving it for? Tomorrow? 5 days? There ain't none of that happening. It all comes down to tonight with Shohei Ohtani on the bump. Shohei Ohtani, Max Scherzer in a win or take all Game 7 of the World Series. Let's see what I guess game day is not going to have anything. Maybe this internet, it's honestly astonishing. I know people are noticing that the video is buffering a little bit. It's honestly astonishing that we're even able to do this, because this hotel Wi-Fi, I would not say is great. Okay, lineup is out for the Toronto Blue Jays. Let's look through it. It is not yet out for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Obviously, Scherzer on the mound against Ohtani. Lineup, George Springer is back in there. Look, I thought George Springer last night was an absolute grinder. Just one of the gutsiest performances you will see. Look, when George Springer got hurt the other night, I, as well as I think most everyone, saw him grab at his side and said, what a blow. Get healthy. We'll see you in spring training. What a year. But he's back. Back for a Game 6 of the World Series and back in the lineup for a Game 7 of the World Series. Nathan Lucas batting second. Big hit last night. Vladdy Jr. batting third. Bo is back in there playing second base tonight. Okay. Bo is in there playing second base. Barger in right. Kirk, Varsho, Ernie Clement, Andres Jimenez. Okay. That's a good lineup. I'm excited about that. Barger's hitting .476 with a 12-14 OPS this postseason. Man, it all comes down to tonight, my friends. We have some numbers against the starting pitchers. So Kike is batting .500 off of Max. Teoscar Hernandez has a homer off of Max Scherzer. Teo's really going through it, though, so be on the lookout for, does Teo keep struggling, or is he able to have some success off of a pitcher that he has a lot of success off of? Max Muncy, nothing. Ohtani has a homer off of Scherzer. Of course he does. 2 at-bats, 1 homer. And then Will Smith with a knock in there and 2 at-bats. So not a ton of appearances. On the other side of things, a little bit of success. Obviously, Vladdy Jr. with that homer off of Ohtani the other night in LA. So these are our matchups. And this is what we got coming, guys. It all comes down to right now, 4 hours away from first pitch in Toronto. Game 7. We got a lot of people, I think, in the chat rooting for the Jays. Seemingly, no, Jimenez needed not to bat in the 9th, a pinch hitter for him. Who are you going to pinch hit over Jimenez in the 9th, though? Jimenez has been swinging a pretty decent bat in the playoffs. They already played 7 games, technically consider the 18-inning. Yeah, true. Can't wait. True. Technically, World Series, Game 8 of the World Series coming up. Not technically, but you know what I'm saying. What did I have for lunch today? Good question. I had a smash burger for lunch today. Just a prediction, LA 6, Toronto 7. Dave Roberts has given a masterclass in a game management this postseason. I thought, look, it takes guts to take out Roki Sasaki in the 9th inning and turn to one of your stud starting pitchers out of the bullpen. In that scenario last night, 2nd and 3rd, nobody out. And Tyler Glasnow comes in out of the bullpen, 2nd and 3rd, nobody out, and gets out of it in 3 pitches. 3 pitches. Are you kidding me? Dave Roberts, take a bow. I think the difference in Dave Roberts from a few years ago to this year is astounding. I thought he did a fantastic job with the team last year. I think this is a totally different team than last year, and he needed to manage completely differently, and he totally has. The biggest blunder that Dave Roberts has made all postseason is racing Ha-Sung Kim around the bases and pulling his hamstring. That's the worst thing he's done. If you're doing that as a manager, that it doesn't matter what you do on the field, you're doing a pretty dang good job. John Schneider, I also think, deserves a lot of credit as well. I'm sure there are moves in which he would regret, if I had to point to any, I think that 18-inning game 3, I think the Dodgers kept most of their studs in. And I think around the 9th, 10th inning, John Schneider was making a lot of moves preparing for the game to end in that moment. And I think he would regret a little bit of that. Pinch running for Alejandro Kirk on first base instead of waiting to see if he can get to second base. Look, we can nitpick a lot. Here's what matters. Tonight's Game 7 of the World Series. We all get to experience a Game 7 of the World Series for the first time in 6 years. Somebody's going to win, and somebody's going to have their heart broken. The Dodgers have been here. They've done that. They've won a World Series. They didn't do it via Game 7. Most guys on this team have not played in a Game 7 of the World Series. The Blue Jays have not been here. This Blue Jays core, this team, it's been so much fun to watch them. Is the moment going to be too big for them? That's been the conversation throughout. When Trey Savage started a game on the road at Dodger Stadium, is the game going to be too big for him? That answer was no. For this offense, is the moment going to be too big? I think that answer's been no. I think this has been one of the best World Series in recent memory. I think it has been fantastic. And I just love that as baseball fans, we get a Game 7 of the World Series. Do you think your hotel room could have better curtains than those behind you? You don't like these curtains? What's wrong with them? A Game 7 for that long is crazy. LA champions 2025. Is this season a success, win or lose for the Jays, considering they do have some injuries and went 7 against the Dodgers? Look, in 6 months, then 4 months, spring training time, I think we can look back and say, no matter what happens tonight, 2025 was a successful year for the Toronto Blue Jays. But I promise you that conversation ain't now. And I promise you, if they do lose tonight, the conversation isn't after this game of like, tell me, was this year a success? No, I mean, it's just a tough conversation to have. But I do think so. I do think that this Blue Jays team has taken the step forward that they needed to take to learn how to win. They had good teams. They had good talent. They just didn't yet know how to win. And they do know how to win now. That's for sure. I don't dodge questions, MBH. It's what I do. You want to talk? You want to talk crap about my hotel room curtains? I'll take that personally. These are nice curtains. They open and close automatically. Sorry you don't like the look and texture of them. Blue Jays only have 5 or 6 players born before 93 World Series. These young guys need to relax and they will be okay. Yeah, there's a difference though in saying you need to relax in the World Series. Like they had Game 7 of the ALCS. That helps. You need to relax to play well in the World Series. But everything changes in a Game 7 of the World Series. I got goosebumps just thinking about a Game 7 of the World Series. Are you kidding me? I'm so pumped up for tonight. Who do I have winning? You know, I think I might have a different answer if it weren't for Game 3 of the World Series. Watching the Los Angeles Dodgers win Game 3 of the World Series in 18 innings, and then the Blue Jays responding the way they did, I thought the Dodgers looked exhausted after that 18 inning, and they had won that game. The way the Blue Jays had the ultimate punch to the mouth and came out and won Game 4 and Game 5 on the road against the juggernaut Dodgers tells me a lot. Scrap everything you know about baseball and statistics coming into a Game 7. That's why I don't want to sit here and overanalyze the pitching matchup or the matchups of hitters, because scrap everything you know about what the statistics say. Game 7 is let's go. Get on my back. Somebody's got to put the team on their back and say, I got us. And you know what? I think that's going to be Vladdy. Watching his at-bats last night, watching him late in the game get that walk and like tell everyone to breathe. I think that was the 8th inning. That massive walk, and then like the camera panned to him, and he was just calming down everybody. He literally went. Vladdy's built for this. Vladdy is built for this moment. He is from Canada. He was born in Canada. The narrative is awesome. You have an entire country rooting for you. You have 2 countries rooting for you. Canada and the DR all want Vladdy to win. I know Teo's from the DR. He won one last year. They're all rooting for Vladdy. So you have Canada and the DR rooting for the Blue Jays and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And then you have Japan and Hollywood rooting for the Los Angeles Dodgers. What a narrative. Are you kidding me? Adam Arroyo, thanks. Great job. Keep up. Thank you, Adam. Seriously, that means a lot. Thank you. So I can't wait. I can't wait for this. And I am, as we speak, about to pack myself up, head on over to the stadium, because no matter what happens, I was ready last night, but no matter what happens, I'll be out on the field after the game ends, getting interviews from players, and then heading over and recording a show of mine, Flippin' Bats. If you haven't ever checked out Flippin' Bats with Ben Verlander, please check that out. I'll be doing an episode tonight and putting the interviews in that episode and doing the final episode of the Major League Baseball season. That's for sure gonna happen tonight. This has been a lot of fun, guys. Thank you all for being in here. We're 4 hours away, officially, on the dot from Game 7 of the World Series. Thank you all for being in here and watching and talking baseball and talking curtains and whatever we want to talk through. I appreciate every single one of you. If you are not subscribed to the MLB YouTube channel, question 1, how dare you? Question 2, what are you doing? Statement 3, do it. Subscribe to the channel. It's Major League Baseball. What more are you looking for? Check that out. I'm Ben Verlander on all social media. Hope you check me out. My show, Flippin' Bats with Ben Verlander. It'd mean the world if you check that out as well. But what you really need to check out is Game 7 of the World Series, just a couple hours away. Enjoy it, everyone. Thank you all for watching this stream. We're going to go back to this scene to end it, even though I think it might be buffering. Thank you all for watching. Enjoy Game 7. Thank you, MLB. Thank you, MBH. Thank you, every single one of you. I'm pumped up, baby. I got goosebumps just thinking about it. Game 7 of the World Series. See you then. Let's go.